We got this. It's kind of late. Hello, welcome to episode 158 on Overdose and Chill. My name is Leslie. I'm an SEO manager for Overdose New Zealand. Before we begin, I'd just like to remind those who are joining us, we're broadcasting live on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to address, please leave them in the comments and we'll be happy to jump in and answer. For those of you who are tuning in to your first OD and Chill, OD and Chill is essentially where we just have a chat to celebrate a retail partner. And today we are joined by Nikki. Nikki is the e-commerce manager for STIHL Shop. For those of you who are not aware, STIHL is a German manufacturer of outdoor power equipment, such as your leaf blowers, your chainsaws, and your lawnmowers. You may actually, if you've not heard of them, you may have seen them in your local neighborhood with the iconic orange and white product. As you can see, Nikki is in the STIHL workshop, and you can see quite a large range of products there. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce Nikki. Nikki, could you please introduce yourself to our audience today?
Sure. My name is Nikki Egene, and welcome to my STIHL shop. This is actually our play shop, which is located in our office in East Tamaki, and this is a smaller version of what one of our bricks and mortar STIHL shops would look like, of which we have 85 around New Zealand. And STIHL Shop is our retail brand. So it's a lovely lime green branded colour to go with the STIHL orange. And I look after the STIHL Shop website on behalf of our retailers. And I also look after the STIHL website as well, which is our brand site.
Perfect introduction there. Yeah, as I mentioned, a lot of the people will have seen the brand still just around, whether they're in stores or just landscapers or gardeners or whoever just doing outdoor work. But thank you so much for joining us on OD and Chill. Today, as the name implies, it's going to be a chill conversation about all things digital, talking about Nikki yourself, how you kind of came into the world of e-commerce, and I guess the transformation of STIHL over the years, as well as a few other sort of digital related topics that we'll be covering today. But I just wanted to essentially start with you. So you've been with STIHL for 8+ years, and a lot of people have different pathways into the world of e-commerce. And I'd just like you to tell us a bit about how your career began. How did you get into the world of e-commerce?
Sure. Well, I came to e-commerce relatively later in my career. I actually worked for STIHL in my mid-20s, and then I left and did some other things, and then I had a couple of kids that I stayed home with for about 8 or 9 years. And then when I needed to re-enter the workforce, because we wanted to buy a house in Auckland and we couldn't do that with one single income, I thought, oh my God, how am I going to do that? Because I had been at home with preschoolers for a long time, and I didn't have any contacts anymore, and where I used to work, or the last place I worked, but I did still have a contact at STIHL. So I asked him if he would give me a reference, and he actually said, well, actually, maybe I can do better than that. and he recommended me to the then, I think he was sales and retail manager, Jochen Spear, who's now he's actually now our general manager. And he just needed someone. So it was a very broad role that he just needed someone to do things. And that suited me because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't know what relevant skills I actually had anymore. So I came back just to do, I used to call myself the random jobs department. So I just did all kind of stuff, basically, sales analysis and all just different things that he overflowed from him. He's a kind of ideas guy, so he comes up with lots of ideas, and he just needed someone that could implement those ideas. So then I just started doing projects. I got a bug for projects. I realized I didn't like doing the same things over and over again. I got bored, and I enjoyed projects. So I just started doing quite random projects as well. I set up an online learning platform for our retailers, because lots of our retailers sort of come to retail in a often roundabout way. They buy a business, or sometimes they're a workshop technician who's worked in the servicing side of a still shop, and then they end up buying the business. And so they don't necessarily have a retail background. So I set up an online learning platform that included New Zealand accredited retail training. Then I also set up a voice of the customer survey, online survey. And then my last biggest project was to set up sales data reporting into a dashboard, because the unique thing about our business at that time was we were very wholesale focused. So we just sold stuff to our stores, and that was how we measured ourselves, how much we sold to the stores. We had no visibility at all of what was sold to customers. We didn't track it. We didn't know. We created promotions, but we didn't know how successful they were. And our wholesale sales were very up and down depending on when promotions were, but we had no idea how long it took to sell that out to customers. So I set up this dashboard. So for the first time ever, we had access to retail data, so we could see it at the end of the day. It was complex because all of our stores, they're individually owned, and they were understandably, it was their business. They wanted to run the business the way that they wanted to run the business, and they didn't want to have necessarily us or looking into what they were doing, and like a big brother type thing. So we had to win their trust first, and then we also had a common IT system, but there are 85 individual instances of that IT system. So it was not networked or anything. So we had to figure out how to get that data from these 85 instances into a dashboard. So I did that, and that was life-changing for our business, and changed how we did lots of different things. And then we decided, okay, we should really start selling online. And again, the project came about, and I started doing the project. And then because there was no one else to do it, I didn't have any experience. I didn't know anything. I was just basically relying on Overdose to help me, give me guidance and what I could figure out along the way. I knew how our business worked. I knew how our stores worked, but I didn't know anything about e-commerce. So I just had to, now it seems crazy. I know that that even Jochen gave me that chance. Where if he knew what I didn't know when I was doing that project, I think he would have changed his mind. I think I was even like Googling what's a meta description, how to create a URL, everything. And I figured it out. And then at the end of that project, we realized, okay, we need to actually run this now on a day-to-day basis. And I said, yep, I can do that. And I was just really lucky that Jochen believed in me. And he just gave me that chance. And so I've been doing that for the last 4 years or so with the help of Overdose.
Wow, that's a really incredible like journey that you went through to get into the path of e-commerce. I don't think many people will have the same pathway as you, and I think that's like the beauty of like working in-house, especially for someone like yourself. It's like you get bored pretty quickly. You love to do lots of things. You wear probably many hats in terms of like getting a lot of questions and a lot of execution, which is really cool. One thing, like, because I've only been working with you for probably over a year, I would say, maybe just over a year now, and like just having that background knowledge of like what you did to get to where you are now is quite astounding and amazing. And I know it took like, we're just talking like a bit of SEO here today, but there was many, tech leads, not just Danny, but then also lots of client success members. Like it took a whole like army or village, as they say, to really get this off the ground to where it is today.
Yeah, it did, and it involved our whole business as well. We had to change how the warehouse operated because the warehouse was used to only shipping out big pallets of goods, and then all of a sudden they were having to pick like one bottle of oil, and they're like, oh my God. Our warehouse was not optimized for that type of picking and packing. So all of a sudden they were walking like, I don't know, 5 times more in a day than what they were before because they have to get a chainsaw from over here, a bottle of oil from that way down there. The biggest change, though, was in our customer services team, because our customer services team and also internally, we never dealt with end users ever. I mean, very rarely when someone had a real problem with a store and they would escalate it to us. But apart from that, we never spoke to end customers ever. That was the job of the store to deal with customers. And then all of a sudden we were getting customers call us and we were like, oh my God, what do we do as a customer? So we really changed our whole entire business totally. And now we're much closer to customers, which is actually a really good thing for the business because at the end of the day, we don't grow our wholesale sales unless we grow our retail sales. So now we have a lot more insight into customers. We get a lot more feedback from customers, both good and bad. And there's more people in the business that have an understanding of what customers want or don't want or how they function because we're actually speaking to customers and we're actually getting real feedback from customers, which we were never getting before. But it was a whole culture shift that was actually probably the biggest thing that we underestimated how big that shift would be because like you said, I've been working for Stihl for I think nearly 10 years and the second time around, but that's not a long time working for Stihl. Our culture is that people just stick around forever. So we've got people that have worked 20 plus years. I went to a 30-year celebration. Wow. So it's very common for people to work here for a very long period of time. Especially when you hit your 10 years, you get a whole big dinner. You get a little pin that says 10 years and you have to wear that pin forevermore in all formal events. So it's a business that really celebrates longevity, which is quite uncommon these days. But it does mean when there's a big shift like what we had, that takes some of those people a lot longer because they're used to working in a different way. But now we've made that shift, and it's a really good thing for our business. And it also means that we can support our stores in a different way as well. Yeah.
100%. I think like it wasn't just a digital transformation. It was like a
No.
culture reset, like a whole complete business transformation. I remember when you gave us the warehouse tour a couple months back, and then we were talking about the very same thing. Like, oh, I need to get this one. Like, customers online, they just buy one part, and like they're still trying to
Yeah.
figure it out and trying to get those efficiencies. And the warehouse is massive. It was crazy how big it
Yeah.
was. Down in Botany, and people trying to run around and get the parts to fulfill orders. I can imagine like, you currently got field days, and that must be a crazy logistics nightmare too. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I think the business is doing really well at adapting, and that's probably a testament to how long Still as a brand has been going on, just constant evolution and growth and adaptability, which is probably not as common as we think. Like having people complete their 30-year tenure.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time like on your digital platforms, like especially watching the YouTube videos, just because I work a lot on the content side, and then I see the instructions, and like you have your own like staff and team actually do it, and then you go into your office and then you see them hanging out in the cafe just doing their thing. So
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
great to see everyone just like pulled in and really just like adopted the change, and continue to adapt, which is really amazing. And there's been so many, we could talk about so many different projects. You know, you've already discussed a lot, but I guess the sort of main ones that potentially a lot of our audience today would be really keen to hear about is more about the birth of Still Shop, and that. So in terms of that,
Yeah.
um, how would you like to kind of like cover up? It's such a big project. Um,
Yeah,
you've kicked it
that
off. Like how
was
many years have we going on?
well, Still as a manufacturing brand is more than 90 years old, and it's
Yes.
still owned by the same family in Germany. So it's still owned by the Still family. And New Zealand, I can't remember how long the subsidiary's been going, but the Still shop as a retail brand is actually relatively new, and it's also very unique to New Zealand. And it's also our biggest success factor, I would say, as well. So previously, Still we used to sell to all these just random lawnmower shops and chainsaw shops, which were all dotted around the country. Initially, it's very professional focus on forestry and those type of industries. But our previous general manager realised that for the business to survive into the future, that wasn't going to work. There was no commonality between those businesses. They were all owned by random different people. There was no common branding. They were all just higgledy-piggledy, very old school retailing, no merchandising, no nothing. And the biggest focus of the business was the workshop, basically fixing stuff. And that's where the passion of lots of the owners was as well. So the Jim realized that we had to modernize in order to remain successful into the future. And that's when Still Shop was born. The challenging thing is that we can never just say to our store owners, you must now do this. So same with selling online. We couldn't just say, you must now sell online. We have to say to them, we have to prove the value of it. So we had to prove the value of Still Shop as well. And it took many, many years to transform all of those individually owned businesses to Still Shop. It started with one store in Glen Eden, and slowly it is growing over time to now between 85 different stores, and those are the where the majority of our business goes through those stores, and they all look similar, but they're all very localized as well. So the owners live in the local areas, they understand the local areas, and they run their businesses all in a slightly different way as well. So there's pros and cons to that. The biggest pro for us is that they're passionate about their business. They want their business to succeed. They've got money in it. That's their livelihood. So they do an amazing job. Like our click and collect experience is like world class, I would say. Our biggest project and one of the biggest projects was to implement a 1 hour click and collect service. So we integrated all the store stock into the website, which was again a business-wide project, because previously we didn't know how much stock each business had. We had no idea. We sold it to the business and then that was it. So all of the click and collect orders were fulfilled out of here. We couldn't tell customers, yes, the store has it, or no, they don't. And that was one of our biggest pain points with the website, was we couldn't give any visibility as to whether that click and collect product was in the store or not. So we just had to say it would come at some stage, and we would just get complaints about it. It was frustrating for the stores, and also it's frustrating for them because they had the stock and they didn't need us to send another item of stock. So that was one of the biggest projects, was to implement that 1 hour service and to gain the visibility of the stock. So our stores, they 95 or I think 98% of orders are ready on time. We know that from our customer, including those 1 hour orders. They will unbox the product, they run the product up. So if it's a machine like a chainsaw or something like that, they assemble the product for the customer. They put oil and bar oil into the chainsaw. They give the customer safety instructions, usage instructions, and they'll even carry the product out to the customer's car as well. So that's a 1 hour click and collect service that I don't think many businesses provide. And we get really awesome feedback by it. And we can only do that, I think, because our store owners are so passionate about what they do. And because it's their business, they want to deliver that really premium service as well. Yeah.
100%. I think to your point, it's like kind of similar to Overdose. So it's like you kind of you think global, but then you act local. So you know those people. They know their regions, they know their customers. They probably talk to these people quite often. They know what they want, what they need, the terrain that they're dealing with, and that's where that challenges comes. That's probably why you have so many successful stores. I had a chat with the team around that click and collect project, and that was definitely a highlight project. Something I think people will be interested in is, without getting obviously into the numbers, but like when you launched it, did it overwhelm you in terms of the demand that came through with that click and collect?
I think it's definitely part of our growth since that service was implemented. Also because previously, if we didn't have the stock in the warehouse, we couldn't sell it, so we had to put it out of stock. And some of our sales growth has just come from the fact that we can now sell the warehouse stock and the store stock as well. So we have a lot less out of stocks than what we had before. But our click and collect rate shot up. So it's especially useful in the last quarter of the year, where I think customers are really time poor, and they all opt for click and collect. Also, they don't necessarily, our product's expensive generally, and people don't necessarily want to have it sitting on their doorstep. And also because we offer that service of assembling the products for customers, then click and collect is always more popular than home delivery, even though we offer free home delivery as well. So yeah, it's been really successful, but also because now we can see stock levels in store, it also helps with things like stock management and purchasing from our side to the factory. We now factor that into our forecasting as well. So it's a side benefit of that project. Yeah.
No,
So,
100%. I think, oh, sorry, go on.
no, that's okay.
Oh, that's okay. I was sharing some of that insight around that NZ Post like quarterly review, and I was talking about like how consumers, to your point, are being a bit more time poor, but having things like free delivery and click and collect can be the difference between them ultimately converting now versus one of your competitors, and that's such a huge impact. I think it was like 60% of all orders, like if it's not factoring in like free delivery or click and collect, fast click and collect, that's very likely that you'll miss out on that conversion. So yeah, having Still Shop being quite ahead of the curve in terms of offering something like 60-minute click and collect is something of great value, and just really puts you ahead of a lot of the potential competitors out there. And even just making sure we like sell that on the website, like telling people one of the sort of parts into like optimizing the site was making sure that all those unique selling points were on there, to your point around like meta descriptions and metadata. What I wanted to talk about was your journey into SEO. As I'm an SEO manager, that's where my specialty lies. I was a bit curious about, because I only worked with you for about a year now, but I wasn't actually here in the initial discussion, so I was actually really curious. What made you decide to start that journey into SEO and organic search for the brand?
Sorry, I just had people wanting to come into the shop.
Good.
No, I cannot hide that I'm doing this so much. So initially we were just so busy. I think we launched the site initially a month before the first lockdown for COVID. So that was a crazy time. I think until COVID hit, we'd done like $20,000 online. And as I said, we had no expertise. So we were learning as we were going. It was really a test and learn type situation. And then COVID hit, and we were allowed to be an essential provider because we provided maintenance things. And so a few weeks into it, we launched as an essential services provider, and all of our stores were shut and had no source of income. And so we were basically it. And all of a sudden, in one day, we were doing our whole lifetime of sales. And it was just a crazy, crazy time for those 2 years of just basically surviving. And then we did the click and collect project, and then we did a B2B project. And so we were always just like focused on improving things. We knew SEO was not good. We knew that we were relying on paid search very heavily, and we shouldn't be, but we just didn't have the time to address it. We were just two of us with this very technical site and all of these projects and all of these promotions and all of these everything. We just didn't have time. And then we just got to a point where we were like, okay, we know it's not right. We need to do something, but we just didn't know how to do it. By that stage, we knew what a meta description was. So we had been like writing those randomly and doing some stuff randomly, but we just didn't really have a really clear strategy, and we were sort of just winging it. So that was where yourselves came into it. Yeah.
Nice. And I think it's been a lot of like learnings definitely
Yeah.
on your side, and like it's been a really great evolution from an SEO perspective. I remember talking to you, and I think there's some common misconceptions for sure. And I think one of the ones that you mentioned was like definitely don't go out just Googling, your core products after just at the start. It does take time. But
Yeah.
were there quite a lot of common like misconceptions about SEO that you were kind of like weren't 100% sure on at the start, or?
Yeah, I think we didn't know the technical aspects of SEO as well. So our site is very technical, because essentially what it is we have, this is a very non-technical description of it, but we have a shell of a site, and then we have 85 stores within that site. So because our stores are all individually owned, we had to give them individual visibility, and because the money has to go to each individual store owner, it doesn't come to us. The relationship is between the store and the customer. The money is between the store and the customer. There's 85 different payment gateways. We've got stock sources 8 times 85, and we've got everything times 85. So it's quite technical, and we didn't know the technical implications of that on SEO. And I'm not technical, so I didn't know anything. So there was a big technical review that we had to do, and technical improvements that we had to do. And then there was all the keyword research and optimization that we did, and we're still doing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I guess it's an ongoing process. I remember, like for those who have not visited the store shop site, so pretty much each store has like a subfolder. So it could be /Albany, /Botany, slash wherever, and then you'd have like 80 instances for each store. From an SEO perspective, can cause a bit of duplication. You've got the same pages for different regions or different stores. So a lot of that was consolidating that, but that was just due to the nature of the business, and where we had to be quite adaptable in finding the right solution to ensure that, hey, Google knew that this was the default version that we wanted to appear on Google search, and we didn't want any certain prices from certain stores to be appearing as the default price. So there's quite a lot of work under the going on behind the scenes. That's where we worked really closely with the likes of Danny and our tech team to ensure that a lot of our SEO best practices were we followed best practices, but we also made sure that we could still meet the technical requirements of the business and to service all those various subunits. Were you quite surprised at, for those of you who haven't seen that, we've made some really great results, and I think probably one of the more prouder clients that I've had over the last 12 months or 2023, just in terms of the growth. But were you quite surprised that we were actually able to start outranking the likes of like the Bunnings and the Mitre 10s of the world, who are often considered like the whales in this this large ocean?
Yeah, I mean, that was amazing. Obviously, we can't beat them in paid. We don't have anywhere near the kind of budget that they have, so that we can just do it from our own, well, your hard work and our hard work. That was amazing, and a real like good news story for our business. And we definitely made sure that when we had royal visits from the global marketing manager and these people, that was definitely one of the things that we showed them that we were able to do with our site. Because our site, yes, it's an e-commerce site, but it's also one of our biggest marketing or general marketing platforms. And we know now that more people go to the website or access our products via the website than any other piece of marketing that we do. So the more people we get there to the site, the better. And if we can do that through SEO, then all the more better than paying for it, paying Google.
100%. I think it's definitely like spreading your eggs rather than just at the start you were relying quite heavily on paid search, just because it can often be like the quicker alternative to getting results. But as you see in your GA4 data, there's multiple channels, and organic search was one of them. I think what was really like, it's pretty rare to see such a huge growth. I think in terms of like getting those SEO results, but I think what really made us get far in terms of getting those results, getting those rankings and transactions, maybe it was a lot of the buy-in from your side, because it's not just, you know, on my shoulders, but as a team collective as well. I think we did, like, while you had no SEO knowledge, we did a lot of training and upskilling,
Yeah.
especially since in your case, you know, you knew the ins and outs of your product range. I knew how to get you up there from SEO perspective, but I needed the gap in terms of, hey, the giving me like industry knowledge and, you know, what makes your products unique, especially when we were trying to battle between like the battery, the plugin, the electric,
Yeah.
all that, and just trying to make sure that everything was right from the right terminology, which was quite, you know, it was a bit of a challenge, but that's kind of the point of like trying to get these results, understanding your business, and then how can we reach as many people as possible through organic search. Um, in terms of, you know, your experience with SEO, so what are some like advice that you'd give to other businesses? Because, you know, you've been in charge of the entire transformation process, from day one in terms of SEO and other sort of areas. But, you know, what's sort of the general advice that you would give to other businesses that are considering investing in SEO? You know, they could be ecom, they may not be ecom, but, you know, they're just looking to increase their, you know, online presence.
Well, our experience has only been positive. I think it helped us. I mean, we probably could have done it, not the technical part, but we could have probably done the content part and the keyword research ourselves, I guess. But it would have taken us way, way longer. And because there's always other conflicting priorities that came up in the month, one of the best things that we had was that Leslie just really kept us on track. So we had monthly goals, we had monthly tasks. Some of the tasks was completed by Leslie, and then some of the tasks was completed by us. But we had a really good schedule that we were reviewing every couple of weeks in our WIPs, and that just really kept us on task and allowed us to achieve a lot more, so much faster than probably what we would have been able to do ourselves. And it used our expertise in the best way. So we used Leslie's expertise to start us off with the writing, and then we used our own expertise to finish it off, our own product knowledge and the likes. I think it was just a real win-win. And then during the process, we were able to upskill our own team so that now when we're writing meta descriptions or when we're writing blogs, we are doing it correctly from the start as well. So that was awesome. Yeah. And
No,
really good for our team as well, because they learned stuff as well, and everybody likes to learn stuff and that will be useful in their career.
no, 100%. I think that collaboration in the game is to, you know, I think after the technical audit, we launched like 14 dev tickets, and I was doing tickets, you were doing tickets. So the collaboration, you know, it takes a whole village to get, you know, to where you are now. And just for those viewers at home, it wasn't always perfect. We're in a great space now, but it did take time. I think it took us probably like 4 or 5 months before we started to really see some really great traction. So it does take time, but I think we really put it as a priority. You know, we had buy-in from yourselves, from us. We had the dev team pushing hard, making the technical recommendations in the audit. So it did take time, but now we're kind of just like enjoying the fruits of our labor in terms of where we are now. But I mean, this has only been a year and a half of us working together now, but there's still so much growth to be had. Yeah, maybe even less.
It has also allowed us to change our paid search strategy as well. So we were previously buying Still and Still Shop, for example, which was not the best use of our budget. So now we're using that paid search budget in a much better way, and we're not relying on it anymore. which is probably the biggest win. And we're viewing search as a total rather than just as individual sources of traffic, so that so I think it has been a massive win. Yeah.
No, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. I always tell my clients, like, we should always look at search as a whole. It's probably
Yeah.
always too many conversations between like organic versus paid search, but at the end of the day, they're all on Google search.
That's right.
All about how can we optimize these channels, and I think that's where we essentially helped you to aid in terms of making sure that you're spending budget wisely. We weren't always ranking. We to this day we don't rank first for everything. That's where we need a bit of help from the paid team, and vice versa. If we're doing really well, then we can divert budget elsewhere. So it was always about seeing search as an overall channel. Is what I always tell clients. It shouldn't really be like a this versus that or versus. It's about how can we optimize Google search as a whole. And I think, yeah, to your point, we've done a really great job of making sure that we're utilizing our budget well. We're spending where we should be spending, and off the back of that, have just been getting really fantastic results.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we have another agency that looks after our paid search, and because we're now not so reviewing search as a total, because previously it looked like paid search was doing really well, but the reality was that a lot of that traffic was coming from the term still and still shop. So by now taking those out of the mix and saying to them, well, actually what we're trying to do is increase search as a total, you don't organic and paid, then it meant that they were not just so focused on getting traffic. We're trying to get the traffic from the paid search that we're not getting from the organic search. And then that also allowed us to improve what we're doing with paid search as well. And
100%.
it makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. One thing that I wanted to chat on was, you're always working on a new project. The next project for you that's kind of kicked off is CRO. So, we talked about like organic search and paid search, which is all about, acquiring traffic, getting in front of those new people. Whereas CRO, conversion rate optimization, is about how can we convert all these users that we're, sending to our website. So, yeah, could you talk a bit about the CRO experience? So I know it's only just kicked off, but I would love to hear your thoughts around that.
So, the reason why we started now with a CRO retainer as well was because with the design team, we did some really awesome work late last year around improving the visibility of promotions on the site. So we figured out that a lot of our revenue actually comes from promotions, people coming to the site, viewing the promotions, and then transacting something that's on promotion. We really wanted to turn that up, but also some of our promotions are kind of they're a bit non-standard, and there was some friction. For example, you buy a machine and then you can spend so many dollars on accessories. And it's not a standard promotion that you see traditionally across online websites. So we would have customers that bought the machine and didn't add any accessories to the cart, and then realize afterwards that they hadn't done that, or went to the store and the store had to help them, or whatever. So that was the initial reason, and we got a promotion starting on 17th of June that will fully utilize the new functionality. But which is really cool. When you add the machine, then you get a pop-up and then a prompt, hey, now you've got $100 to add accessories, and then you can put them into the cart. We also did have a promotion, buy a machine and a battery and get a free battery. So we did a lot of work around optimizing that journey as well. And we're actually had really great results from it. So we're actually down in retail as a business, but online our sales are actually up year on year, and a lot of it is because of that work that we did in that space. So we realized that we needed to, or that we could increase sales by improving the website as a whole. So we started off with a full data review of the site, and that surfaced some things that we could be doing better and some really interesting insights as well, like that the number of people that were actually viewing a product, for example, is not where it should be. So that's our next focus. But also we have this really unusual journey because our stores are all individually owned. You actually have to choose your store before you can add something to the cart and check out. That's because the stock is different at the store, and because you're paying your money to the store as well. And that was a real friction point. I think it was only like 13% of people were actually choosing a store within their journey. So we did some work to improve that. And then we realized, okay, there's a lot more opportunity here. Yes, we've been doing these big projects, but actually we can get some real wins from just improving the general site. And that's why we've implemented the CRO retainer, and we're currently working on improving on-site search as well, upgrading our search experience. Yeah.
Nice, that's amazing. Yeah, I think given we are unfortunately in a recession, it's maybe the growth in traffic or users to the site may not necessarily be that attainable to the growth targets, but it's about how can we essentially optimize their journey, make it as frictionless as possible, and ultimately convert at the end of the day. So I'm really excited to see how that project unfolds as we get more stuck in. I've loved the insights from the design team so far. I'm super excited to see how far we can take it. What are some other projects
we're getting plenty of traffic to the site from the work that we're doing with you, and that became less of a problem. What was the problem, but is that getting people to actually view a product. Customers were going to the promotions page, the home page, and the store locator page. Actually, that's all good stuff because we're still predominantly a bricks and mortar retailer, and those indicate that customers are still coming to the site, doing research, and then going into store, which is still a really good thing. But it also indicates that we're leaving sales on the table, because obviously not everybody ends up in the store, and those are the people that we want to make it easier for and hook them.
No, 100%. It's all about making it as frictionless as possible, especially in this day and age. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to ask if, as we sort of wrap up soon, what are the sort of like goals over the next 12 months? I know when we last chatted 12 months ago, there was like a strategy session. We were going to push real hard into battery, but what's in the pipeline for STIHL in 2024?
Well, still in general, we are transitioning from petrol to battery, and that is been going on for like the last 10 years or so, but is becoming faster and faster and faster. And that is a real challenge for us, because previously STIHL was dominant in petrol, especially chain stores. We were number one by a long way. But in battery, that is not necessarily the case. There's a lot of more competition, and also there's competition from different people. For example, builders and the like, they will use a battery in the tools that they use at work, but then they want to use that same battery in all of the tools that they have at home as well, and still doesn't compete in the building market. We are an outdoor power equipment company, so there's a real challenge. So other companies like Makita, they have that common battery that can be used across all of the products. So that's a big challenge. Also, our battery platform is a little bit confusing. So we have different batteries depending on the type of consumer. So we have a battery for professionals and a whole range of tools. And then we have a different battery for consumers and a whole different range. And that's very, very challenging to communicate on the site. I'm not sure if we've got it. We've made a lot of improvements in that space. If you look on the site, all of the products are tagged with AK or AP. But it's a real big challenge for us. And the other one is dominating in the battery professional market as well, because we're traditionally dominant in professionals, but we need to ensure that we retain that as we transition into battery as well. That was the other big project that we had last year with Danny, was to implement a B2B solution for B2B customers. Probably don't have time to talk about it today. But essentially that was allowing B2B customers to transact on the website with the same discounts or trade discounts that they have in store. That was real magic that we're able to pull off with Danny from Overdose and the team. And there's still a lot of opportunity in that space that we haven't quite realized yet. So as a business, those are our two key objectives. As an online team, it's very challenging in retail in New Zealand at the moment. So we're really just pushing hard to hold our sales as close as we can. And we're really restricted this year in comparison to other years and how much we can actually spend on development. Previously, we've done so much development on the site, but now we have to be really targeted to make sure that what we are spending our money on is actually going to result in an increase in sales or an improvement for the customer experience. So we really have to be really focused that's our objective. If we can't do nice to haves this year, it has to be, will we make money? Yes or no? And that's our deciding factor at this point. Yeah.
No, I think a lot of people are in like very similar positions. Particularly, it's just the market, right? So it's about how can we maximize what we can get with what we have. And but I think there's a lot going on. I think with the CRO, and can you continue to work with SEO and a lot of the dev work in the background. I think we'll continue to push hard and hopefully overachieve and hit our targets.
Yeah,
and
hopefully.
everything.
Always try to have better results than in store.
Yeah,
So in
yeah,
store versus
100%.
online competition. But yeah, if we can do that, we'll be happy at the end of the year.
100%, and then we can plan ahead for 2025, and hopefully things will be looking even greater. Well, that's awesome.
Yes, well, we continue to work with our stores as well to make sure that as a total we're just delivering a great service to customers. I think if we're focused on delivering what customers want and improving the customer journey, then we'll be on the right path.
100%. I think that's a perfect way to end it there. That's like the best piece of insight you can provide. Well, thank you, Nikki, for this great conversation. I hope for all of you watching, you found this insightful. It's been really amazing learning about Stihl Shop and just hearing about your journey, your professional journey, and also all the projects that I didn't even know you were working on over the last 10 years at Stihl. It's been really amazing, and excited for the future as we, continue to work together and see how the brand continues to grow and evolve and transform.
Thank you. Thank you for the contribution that you've made as well, Leslie.
Of course. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.